Okay, today is March 20th, 2014. We're at the Boat Top Mine in Searchlight, Nevada. This is another of our try before you buy mining opportunities where before you purchase or make a decision to purchase a mine, you have the opportunity to actually work some ore that we pull from the ground. Let me just throw my usual disclaimer in. This video is not meant to entertain. In fact, it'll be probably pretty boring. I'm going to shoot it myself, which means it's going to be a little shaky, certainly not professional quality. However, it's meant solely to document our ore collection procedures and our security. In other words, we're going to collect the ore, seal the bucket with security tape, and send it to you, and that way you know what you saw us pulling out of the mine is in the bucket, and there was no way to reopen that bucket and play games or bait and switch. I'm going to do some XRF shots on some of the ore so you can see some of the gold and silver values. I'm going to give you a GPS location. I'll probably have to block the GPS location out because I don't want the general public seeing where this location is. And depending on how high readings I get on gold and silver, I may have to block that. Our attorneys are always cautioning that we can't allow the figures you see here to constitute a guarantee of future performance. However, it's about as accurate as you can get. First, let me take you on a tour of the mine. We're only about maybe a little over a half mile off of a paved road. The beauty of this mine is it's extremely easy to access, two-wheel drive the whole way. You can actually get to within 25-30 feet of the mine. Here's where we're going to be working on one of the tunnels here. But what you'll notice on this property is that we've opened up a number of cuts. We've opened a few prospects, and some of them are the past. What you see here, where they literally opened the side of the hill, is past work, probably dating back at least a half a century, if not a century. There are literally just cuts all over this property. They've obviously attacked everywhere that they saw this vein, and it's an interesting vein. Definitely a convergence zone of two rocks, and I'll show you that a little bit more when we get into the mine itself. But you can see that there are workings here that probably date back to the turn of the century, late 1800s, early 1900s, when this district was formed. And a bunch of miners, trash, some old relics, remnants of days past, but just a ton of tailings, tons of ore here to work. See if I can show you some of the earlier cuts. Up here, they literally opened up this hillside. There's just too many tailings to even make an estimate on, but this goes all the way around. Here was probably one of the original mines, most likely a shaft. Just judging from the timbers, no way to tell because it's been closed or sealed. But we did do some readings here, and we're getting numbers that are consistent with the main audit. So they obviously followed this vein all over this claim property. You can see the difference in the color of rock, hopefully, on this video. Got more cuts across the road here. And back for a perspective, you've got a large cut over here. Here's your main mine. And then here's a prospect pit we opened up, probably only 6 feet deep, 10 feet across, but just some incredible colors. I'm not even going to work in that. Honestly, it was just the silver numbers were off the chart. 4 ounces a ton, I believe it was, about 120 parts per million. And gold was about 40, 41, I think. So over an ounce a ton, 40, 41 parts per million. I may have to block that. So suffice to say, it's worth working the material, although you won't be able to park right next to that one. So I'm going to talk first about our security procedures. What we're going to do is pull the ore right out of the vein itself, deposit it straight into a plastic bucket, It's a 3-gallon bucket, very similar to a 5-gallon bucket you might get at a home improvement store like Home Depot or Lowe's, except obviously it's 3-gallon and not 5. 2 types of security on this. One, the lid is a permanent seal. When we close this and hammer it down, the only way you can open it is to pull this tab, and obviously you'll see if that tab is pulled, and then pry this lid off. Now you probably could open this lid if you spent an hour messing around with some tools, but you'd certainly be able to tell. You'd break the seal. But just in case, second layer of security, we're going to use a tape strip that's serialized. This is a product from Uline. There you can see the part number if you want to look it up at uline.com. Basically what happens is once we apply this plastic strip of tape with the serial number on it, if you peel it, you're going to see the words open. There's just no way to get rid of all the residue. So for purposes of this collection procedure, we've got 2 serial numbers we're going to use today. Nancy Michael, I don't know if you can see those. Nancy Michael 9803440 and Nancy Michael 9803441. So when you get this bucket from UPS, it will have these serial numbers on it. It's the only 2 serial numbers of their kind. No way to substitute, and you'll know that the bucket itself, once I seal it on camera, hasn't been opened or messed with. One thing I am going to do, like I mentioned, is take you a GPS shot. I'll probably block this out just to protect the location. However, so you have it, let me get you an accurate lat and long. Okay, in case I have to block this, I won't read it. That's the location. Parked probably, again, 30 feet from the mine itself. Alright, I'm going to make my way over to where we're going to work and show you a little bit inside. The BLM has closed this mine with a bat gate. That's actually a good thing. Number one, it limits your liability to 0. The BLM takes liability if somebody were to venture onto the mine and stumble or hurt themselves, God forbid, kill themselves. You have zero liability. This is documentation, further documentation, that it was sealed prior to your purchasing it. So you have no liabilities whatsoever. The land, of course, is federal land, and you wouldn't have much liability anyway. However, this is a fairly extensive working, and in order to access inside, where of course all the rich material is going to be, you'll need to cut this, and that's not that difficult to do. So I can show you. They use rebar on 2 sides to anchor into the rock. They drill holes and epoxy it. It's a freestanding gate. So I usually recommend cutting these rebars so you can just slide the gate open and then either close it when you leave by just leaning it back to where it was, or even better, fabricate some sort of hasp that you can put a padlock on so you can further restrict entry. You certainly wouldn't leave a door to your house or the vault to your safe open, and that's the principle behind this, so it's actually a good thing. Easy to see the vein they were after. We're looking at that sort of tan brownish material, and interestingly, that the convergence zone here between the purple and tan, that's where most of your gold is going to be, but that's also carrying a fair amount of silver. Your purple rock is extremely high in silver, also high in titanium, a few other things, tin, and this is probably, using today's more efficient extraction methods, probably almost as valuable to work, just because of some of the other metals, byproduct metals in here. Although I'll leave that up to you, and I'll try and include a little bit of both. But this is certainly where your money is in the gold. Here's the bucket we're going to use. You can see it's empty. I've got our 2 tape strips with the same serial numbers on it. This is the lid. It's empty. I'm going to use nothing more than a hammer. I'm going to set this up on a tripod so I can work without holding the camera, and you're going to watch the entire procedure. And then when I'm done, bucket's filled, I'm going to keep the camera rolling as I seal the bucket, lock the cover down, and tape it shut. So when you get it, it's basically the way it came out of here. All right, let's go to work. So first thing I'm going to do is run a calibration on an XRF scanner. You're supposed to do it every 10 hours. I just did it within the last hour, but just for purposes of documentation, I'm going to run it again. We're going to use a test ingot. This is a known metal composition that the machine knows, and it's going to show that the machine's in calibration. Just basically, I might as well show you if I can. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to run a cal check. And I'm really just running on this little steel sphere. Should only take about 5 or 7 seconds. Okay, maybe 10. If you can see that, cal check passed. I'm assuming you can see that. I can't see the video. So that just tells us we're good to go. No games on the machine. This is about a $35,000 piece of equipment. If you're not familiar with an XRF Scanalyzer, I should explain. It's very simple in that it just literally sends an X-ray that penetrates the surface of rock and other porous and metallic materials. Rock we can get down to 3 to 5 mils. We're going to use a combination of 2 beams here, 40 kilovolt and a 10 kilovolt X-ray. Just like the X-ray you'd have your arm X-rayed if you broke it. Same principle, except a little bit more powerful and much more focused. And this is going to actually read down to the elemental level, whatever it sees in this rock. It is a surface scan. It's coming through this little beam right here. But again, 2 to 3, as much as 5 mils on the high beam into the rock. So we will get some subsurface readings, and we'll get down to 6 to 8 parts per million on gold and 10 or so on silver, 10 or 11 parts per million on silver. That's extremely fine. And it's just as simple as finding what you want to test and pulling the trigger. And I'm going to go right for an easy one. It's going to take about 50 seconds, 25 seconds per beam. Machine's running right now. Nothing to do but wait for 50 seconds. This is an Olympus Delta Premium. And you know, further sampling would be better served by taking pieces of rock and actually crushing it up, homogenizing it or mixing it, and then running a couple samples through a benchtop tester with this attached, because that'll actually show us what's inside the rock. But this is about as good as you can get for actual samples on surfaces of material. Okay, we're done. Zinc, 18 parts per million. Chrome. Okay, I'm going to probably have to block some of this out. Well, let me see if I can show you. I'll probably have to block this just because of the gold and silver. But let me read you some of them in case I'm allowed to just read them to you. Chromium, 122 parts per million. Iron is 5.24%, very high in iron. PB, titanium, I'm really seeing high titanium all over here. It's 4361. You've got nickel, copper, 111, 72 parts per million nickel. Geez, zirconium, vanadium, arsenic. Now, interestingly, arsenic is typically a good indicator of gold in this area. Not only will you take readings from actually AU or you know, the gold itself, but you'll look for other materials that are typically found in conjunction with. So I don't know if I can say this, but silver is parts per million. That's pretty good. You won't get rich on that with the price of silver, but you make a good living on it. And here's a big one. Gold is per million. That's enough to justify a large operation, never mind a small one. So I've got this documentation. If I do have to bleep some of those out, we'll save this file, download it to the laptop. I'm going to put the machine aside and go to work for you. Again, I'm looking at sort of this vein right here, but I'm going to try and pull some of this material because I know it's high in silver, so I'm going to let you have a little of that to test too. Very crude, simple collection procedure. Real easy material to work with, it'd be real easy to break this up. And obviously we're not even venturing inside the mine yet. This is just on a vein that obviously led them to the mine, so imagine what you'll find inside, but very easy to work with. Yeah, I really want this one. It's good. You want this one. I don't know if you can see that dark color, but that's where your gold typically is. Again, that's what you're looking for, and we just cracked that open. This will be perfect for crushing. Then either pan the gold out, run it through a spiral wheel, whatever you prefer. Send it out to a lab. About maybe a little under a half full. So I'm going to pull you some of this material here. So you'll notice the difference in color, two different layers. Then we'll finish up with the gold bearing material on the top. And you've actually got a lot of that gold bearing ore right in the middle. And usually when you have two different types of rocks, being pushed up with by the force of nature, your gold will travel in between them. So that's why we're seeing such high counts. One side of the rock is purple, one side is gold. That's what you want. Same thing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but as we're taking the surface off, we're getting all the same colors underneath. So we're clearly following the main vein. This is where the two rocks collided. The purple rock is a little bit harder to work with. It's a denser rock. Amazing color. You'll see that. So now we're probably just over half full. I'm going to go ahead and move back to the gold bearing rock. Probably grab some from here for you. That's the good stuff right there. See that color, but you certainly will when you open this box. Just got to show you that one. That was in the middle of the rock. You even have some, hopefully you can see that, some quartz mixed in, and that's always a good sign as well. more of that color. That's probably going to be about it. I don't know if you can see that. Bucket is full. It's probably about 40 pounds, give or take. I'm going to go ahead and seal it. Clean lid. Make sure our top is clean for a good seal. And then once I hammer this on, you won't get it off. That's on tight. You've got the name of the mine, today's date, Searchlight, Nevada, the mining area. Now I'm going to throw labels on. So your Nancy Mike 9803440 will be on one side. And then Nancy Mike 9803441 on the other. Going to give you one last look about the bucket and where we were working. This is actually a good illustration on the security tape. You'll notice on the 440 serial number you can sort of start to see the open marks. Looks like it peeled off a little bit when I peeled it off the paper backing. If you were to peel this label off entirely, you'd see red letters that say open, 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 open. This one's of course clean, but a good indication of what you could expect if somebody tampered with this either in transit or any time before it got to you. This again is the area where we were working. You can see that dark brown I was going after, and again that convergence zone, two totally different types of rocks. When they come together, different densities. And therefore your gold and your metals will travel. They're a heavier material, sort of like the process of using riffles on a sluice box to wash gold out from gravel. It'll pass in between these materials because it's just a different density altogether. So that's the Boat Top Mine. Give it a try. Do it in the comfort of your own home. No obligation. If you do not want to exercise the option, You've spent nothing except for the price of the ore and the shipping, and if you do decide to purchase, you have first right of refusal. But again, no obligation. Thanks for watching. Again, sorry we didn't entertain, but at least you've seen our security collection procedures.